The year was 2098. Earth was calm. People were busy in their daily lives. Children played in the streets. Markets were full. Sky was clear and blue. No one expected what happened next. At exactly 2:14 p.m., the sky over New York turned red, not like sunset. It was a deep, bloody red. Then came the sound like thunder, but louder. Buildings shook. The people screamed. Some dropped to the ground, covering their heads. Above the city, a huge dark shape appeared. It was not a cloud. It was something much worse. A giant alien ship, black and smooth like glass, slowly covered the sun, blocked the light and cast a long shadow. Then came the fire. Blue fire rained from the ship. Skyscrapers exploded. Cars melted. People burned before they could run. Panic spread like lightning. Within minutes, 10 more ships appeared over London, Moscow, Beijing, and other major cities. Each one brought death. Each one destroyed everything. The invaders had arrived, and they did not speak. They did not ask for peace. They came only to kill. Commander Rayan Malik was at a small military base in northern Pakistan when the attacks began. He had just finished lunch when the emergency alarm rang. The news showed burning cities. New York was gone. Paris was falling. Even the moon base had gone silent. Rayan's heart raced. He ran to the command center. "Who are they?" he asked. "No idea, sir," said a young officer. "They're not answering any messages. They just keep firing." Rayan looked at the screen, saw the alien ships massive, silent, deadly. His hands tightened into fists. Then he got the worst news of all. "Rayan," said another officer, eyes wide with fear. "One of the ships hit Lahore." Rayan froze. His wife and daughter were in Lahore, visiting family. "No," he whispered. He tried calling. No signal. He tried again and again. His chest felt heavy. He couldn't breathe. In that moment, something inside him changed. Later that night, Rayan sat alone outside the base. Fires still burned in the distance. The sky was filled with smoke and the sound of distant explosions. A group of soldiers approached him, "Sir." One said, "The government is gone. Most leaders are dead. The army is breaking apart." Rayan stood up slowly. His eyes were cold now. "Then we fight," he said. "We fight back, but with what?" Another soldier asked. "Our weapons don't even scratch their ships." Rayan looked up at the sky, now black and full of stars. Somewhere out there, the enemy watched. Somewhere out there, they laughed at humanity's pain. He clenched his jaw. "We'll find a way. They heard us first, but they made one mistake." "What mistake, sir?" Rayan looked at them. "They left some of us alive." In the days that followed, Earth became a battlefield. Alien race later called the Zarkalians attacked without mercy. They had no face, only dark armor and cold eyes. Their ships flew silently, striking fast and leaving only ashes. But even as cities burned, people started to resist. Small groups formed: soldiers, scientists, farmers, even teenagers. They had no real weapons, but they had anger. They had pain. And they had hope. Rayan became the leader of one of the first resistance cells. He used his training, his experience, and his grief to bring people together. They moved at night. They hit weak target supply drones, single patrols, lonely scout ships. Each attack was small, but each one sent a message. Humanity was not finished. One night, Rayan and his team attacked a Zarkalian scout station hidden in the mountains. They used old bombs made from fuel tanks and kitchen timers. It worked. The station exploded. 2 Zarkalian guards died. Rayan stood over one of the alien bodies. The creature was tall, gray-skinned, with 4 eyes and a cruel mouth. "They think we're weak," Rayan said. "But they don't understand one thing." "What's that?" asked a young fighter named Kamal. Rayan stared into the night. "When humans lose everything, they become something else." The story of the attack spread. Other survivors heard about Rayan and his team. They started calling him something new. The Fireborn. Some said he was already dead inside. Some said he had nothing. It's left to lose, but all agreed on one thing. He would not stop. He would make them pay. And he would lead. Earth's payback. Cities had fallen. Nations were gone. Billions were dead. But Earth was not finished. The Zarkalians controlled the skies. But on the ground, small sparks of resistance were growing. One of those sparks was Commander Rayan Malik. His team now had 23 fightersmen and women from different countries, different jobs. Soldiers, engineers, even a chef. They were angry. They were ready. They hid in caves, abandoned train stations, and empty bunkers. They had no money, no big machines, only willpower. But sometimes, willpower is enough. Rayan's team learned. Fast, they studied Zarkalian patrols. They watched how drones moved, when guards changed, and how energy weapons fired. They built traps. Simple ones, tripwires, EMP mines, chemical firebombs. In one raid, they dropped heavy steel beams from a broken bridge, crushing a Zarkalian transport. In another, they lured a patrol into an old subway tunnel and collapsed it. The people started talking. In whispers, they said, "Earth is fighting back." But it was not easy. During one attack, Rayan's team was ambushed. 3 of his best fighters died. Another lost both legs. Rayan sat beside the wounded man that night. His name was Tariq. He had once been a teacher. "I didn't think this would." "Happened to me," Tariq said, his voice shaking. "I just wanted to help." "You did," Rayan said. "Because of you, we stopped them. You've saved lives. But I can't walk anymore." Rayan looked at the stars. "Then we carry you." Across the planet, other resistance groups began to rise. They had different names: the Dust Wolves, the Free Zone. Iron Skybutt, they had one goal: make the Zarkalians bleed. Some used old fighter jets. Others used farming machines turned into tanks. Even old nuclear submarines were activated again. Humans began to connect through secret radio codes and hidden messengers. Hope was spreading like fire. One day, Rayan received a message from someone. "Strange," a voice on the radio said. "Rayan Malik. I know what the Zarkalians fear. Meet me." "Who are you?" Rayan asked. "Someone who escaped?" The voice gave coordinates in the Himalayan mountains. Rayan and his team traveled there using an old snow truck. At the location, they found a ruined science lab hidden in the ice. It had been abandoned for years. Inside, they met an old man with one mechanical arm and one glowing eye. "My name is Dr. Arjun Voss," he said. "I used to work for the United Nations Secret Research Division. I was taken by the Zarkalians 10 years ago and escaped." Rayan raised an eyebrow. 10 years. "They arrived just weeks ago." "No," Dr. Voss said quietly. "They came before. Long ago, but in secret." Dr. Voss showed Rayan a hidden chamber. Inside was a glowing map made of hard light. It showed Earth, Mars, and the outer planets. A blinking mark was on the edge of the solar system. "What is that?" Rayan asked. "That," Voss said, "is the key to turning this war." He pointed to a symbol on the map. Project Eclipse. According to Dr. Voss, Project Eclipse was an old Earth defense program started in the year 2060. It was built in secret on Mars, using AI and weapons so powerful that the world decided to shut it down. The fear was that if humans ever used it, they might destroy themselves. But now, Voss said, it might be humanity's only hope. "There are warships there," Voss explained. "Smart ones, fast ones. Ships made to fight anything, even something like the Zarkalians." "We used them already?" Rayan asked. "Because we erased all knowledge of Project Eclipse. Only a few people knew, and most of them are dead." Rayan stepped closer to the map. "So who can activate it now?" Voss paused. "One man, the lead designer." "Your father." Rayan froze. "My father died in the first wave," he said. "Are you sure?" Voss asked. A long silence. "No," Rayan finally said. "I never saw a body. Just ... silence." "Then we must find him," Voss said. "He may be on Titan. That's where we last sent the Project Eclipse access codes." Rayan stared at the glowing dot near Saturn's moon. The war had just changed. That night, Rayan told his team everything. Some were afraid. Mars was far. Titan was farther. They had no proper ship. But one voice stood strong. A woman with short black hair and dark eyes said, "I'll help." Rayan looked at her.
Ori.
"You. My name is Arya," she said. "I was captured by the Zarkalians. I escaped 2 years ago. I know how they think. And I know how to steal one of their ships." Rayan's eyes narrowed. "Why help us?" "Because they took my sister. Because they took my world." Wihan nodded. "Welcome to the team." Mission was clear now. Find Rayan's father, activate project, Clipston, show the Zarkalians had firepower. They had ships. They had fear. But humans had something else's determination. Rayan Malik's team was now stronger. They had Arya, the woman who once escaped from a Zarkalian slave ship. She was smart, brave, and full of secrets. "We need a ship," she told Rayan. "A real one. Fast and hidden. If we want to reach Titan, we must steal it from them." Rayan nodded. "Where?" "There's a Zarkalian base hidden under the old city ruins of Cairo. It's not just a base, it's a prison. They keep human prisoners there. An experimental tech." Rayan looked at his map. The base was deep underground. He knew it would be dangerous. But he also knew this. There was no other choice. 3 nights later, Rayan, Arya, Kamal, and 4 others reached Cairo. The once great city was in ruins. Buildings were ash. The pyramids were broken. Only smoke remained. Arya led them through an old tunnel. "This used to be a museum," she whispered. "Now it's a graveyard." They reached the underground Zarkalian base. What? It was made of black metal, glowing with green light. Cameras floated in the air. Guard drones moved like insects. Quiet. Rayan said, "One mistake, and we all die." They slipped past the first gate using stolen alien armor. Arya had hacked a security code inside. They saw something that made their hearts freeze. Humans, dozens of them, hanging from metal walls, tubes in their arms. Eyes closed. "They're alive," Kamal whispered. "No," Arya said. "They're fuel." Rayan stared in shock. The Zarkalians were using living humans as batteries, draining their energy slowly. The prisoners were weak, but still breathing. "This is evil," Rayan said. "This is beyond war." "This is what they are," Arya replied. "They don't see us as life, only power." As the team moved deeper, alarms suddenly blared. Someone tripped the sensor. Arya shouted, "Move!" Rayan ordered. Zarkalian guards stormed in. They were tall, armored, with glowing weapons. The humans fired back with stolen blasters. Smoke filled the halls. One of Rayan's men was hit and fell. Another got trapped behind a blast door. "We have to keep going," Rayan shouted. They reached the tech chamber. Inside, a small scout ship sat waiting, sleek, black, and quiet. Arya ran to the controls. "Cover me. I'm unlocking it." Rayan and Kamal fired at the guards. Sparks flew. Walls cracked. One drone exploded in mid-dash air. Suddenly, a voice echoed from behind. "Well, well." Malik Rayan turned and froze. It was a human, a man in his Zarkalian uniform. His name was Colonel Blake, a former Earth officer. "You, Rayan?" gasped. "You were with the UN." Blake smiled coldly. "I work for the future, the winning side." "You betrayed your own people." Blake stepped forward. "Survival isn't betrayal. I saw who was stronger. I made the smart choice." "You made the coward's choice," Rayan growled. Blake raised a weapon. "This is your end." But before he could shoot, Arya fired. Sharp beam hit Blake in the chest. He fell, lifeless. Rayan looked at her. "Thanks." "No time for thanks," Arya said. "Yes. The ship is ready. Let's go." The team ran into the scout ship. The door sealed behind them. Arya took the controls. The ship hummed with energy. "Hang on," she said. "This will be rough." The ship shot forward, breaking through the base ceiling. Rock and fire flew as they blasted into the open sky. Enemy. Ships followed, but Arya spun the ship into clouds. With stealth mode active, they disappeared. The earth below shrank. They had escaped later. Rayan sat in the ship's crew room, staring at the wall. Kamal walked in. "We got the ship. We hurt them. But there are traitors among us now." Rayan nodded. "That's what scares me. We always expected to fight aliens, but now humans are helping them." "Why?" Kamal asked. "Fear, power. Maybe some people just want to survive if it means becoming monsters." Kamal sighed. "So what do we do?" Rayan's eyes sharpened. "We fight harder. We show them what it means to be human." Arya entered with a data chip. "I found something in the ship's system," she said. "Encrypted Zarkalian files." I broke part of it. She placed it on the table. A hologram appeared. It showed a massive station in deep space. Around it were thousands of ships, Zarkalian fleet far larger than anyone had seen. This is their real army, Arya," said. Kamal stared. "But they've already destroyed most of Earth, with just a few ships." Rayan stood up. "Then we don't have time." Arya looked at him. "Titan is next. If your father is there, and he still has the access codes to project Eclipse ... we need him." Rayan nodded slowly. "He's the only one who can unlock Earth's true defense." As the stars passed by the windows, the small human ship flew silently toward Saturn. Ahead of them was Titan. Behind them, Earth burned. But inside that fire, something new was rising. A fury. A plan. A promise. The stars outside the ship moved slowly. The dark space between planets was silent. But inside the stolen Zarkalian scout ship, tension was high. Commander Rayan Malik sat in the front seat, staring out toward Saturn. His hands were tight on the control rail. His eyes were full of questions. Next to him, Arya checked the map. "We'll reach Titan in 4 hours," she said. Rayan didn't answer. His mind was somewhere else. His father, Dr. Zamir Malik, was supposed to be dead. But now, there was a chance he was alive. And holding the key to Project Eclipse, the last hope of Earth, Titan. Saturn's largest moon was covered in orange clouds. Thick storms hid the surface from view. Long ago, humans had built a science colony, their base Helios. That's where they were headed. As the ship moved into Titan's orbit, Arya switched on stealth mode. "Zarkalian scanners won't see us unless we're too close," she warned. Old Colony came into view. It was half buried in ice, broken and quiet. Lights flickered, looked abandoned. But as they landed nearby, the team noticed something strange. Footprints inside the base. The halls were cold and silent, ice-covered. The walls. But there was power-dim lights still glowed. Then a voice echoed through the hallway. "Stop where you are." Rayan raised his hands slowly from the shadows. 3 humans appeared wearing armor made from metal parts, cloth, and pieces of old Zarkalian tech. They held pulse rifles. One of them stepped forward and stared at Rayan's face. "You're Zamir's son." Rayan's heart jumped. "He's alive?" The soldier nodded. "Follow us." They walked deeper into the base until they reached a small lab. Inside, an older man stood at a control panel. His back was to them. Wires ran into his body. "Father," Rayan said. The man turned slowly. His face was tired, but familiar. His right arm was robotic. His left eye glowed blue. "Rayan," he said softly. "You came." Rayan rushed forward. They hugged briefly. "I thought you were dead," Rayan whispered. "I almost was, Dr. Zamir," Malik replied. "The Zarkalians left me for dead after I destroyed their first scouting ship." "Years ago, you knew about them before the invasion?" Arya asked. Salm nodded. "Yes. I warned the UN, but they buried the truth. That's why we created Project Eclipse, to protect Earth from what was coming." Zamir showed them a locked panel. On the lab wall, he placed his hand on it and spoke a code. The wall opened. Inside was a glowing orb. It hovered above a round base and pulsed with blue light. "This is the Eclipse core," Zamir explained. It holds the command key to activate the AI warships hidden on Mars. Mars, Kamel asked. That far? Yes, that's where we hid the fleet. 5 ships. Each one smarter than 100 human pilots. Built with weapons the world feared and now desperately needs. Arya stepped forward. Can we activate them now? Zemir shook his head. The core needs to be connected to the Mars control node. Without it, the ships will stay asleep. Rayan's voice was firm. Then we go to Mars. As they prepared to leave, alarms suddenly rang through the base. Zarkalians, shouted one of the guards. They found us. The enemy had arrived fast. A scout ship had tracked the teams. Heat signature. Zarkalian soldiers broke into the outer corridors. Protect the core, Zemir shouted. Gunfire echoed through the halls. Arya and Kamal fired from behind crates. Drones swarmed in, shooting beams that burned through walls. Rayan grabbed the Eclipse core. Father, come with us. Zemir shook his head. I'll stay and hold them off. Go. The mission is bigger than me. No, we can fight together. Zemir pushed Rayan toward the escape hatch. Son, listen to me. If you fail, Earth dies. Take the core. Activate the ships. End this war. Rayan's eyes filled with pain, but he nodded. I won't let your sacrifice be for nothing. Escaped through an emergency tunnel that led to their ship. As they lifted off, the base behind them exploded in a massive fireball. Rayan watched from the window. His father was gone. But in his hand, he held the one thing that could save the world. Back in the ship, silence filled the room. Arya sat. Beside Rayan, I'm sorry, she said. He gave everything, Rayan replied. Now it's up to us. They set course for Mars as they traveled. Rayan placed the Eclipse core into a secure case. Kamal asked, what happens when we activate the ships? Rayan looked out the window. His voice was calm but full of fire. The ship moved through space quietly. Inside, no one spoke for a long time. Commander Rayan Malik sat in silence, holding a small metal badge. It had belonged to his father, Dr. Zamir Malik. He had given his life on Titan so that Rayan could escape with the Eclipse core, the key to activating Earth's last hope. Rayan closed his eyes. I'll finish what you started, Father. Their next target was Mars. That's where the warships of Project Eclipse were hidden, Earth's most powerful weapons. Built long ago to fight the impossible, but reaching Mars wasn't easy. Their stolen Zarkalian ship needed repairs. And, worse, something was wrong with the Eclipse core. It kept flashing red. We need to fix this, Arya said. If the core shuts down, the warships won't listen to us. Where can we repair it? Rayan asked. Kamal, who had been scanning nearby systems, spoke up. There's an old mining colony on Titan's dark side, Titan Outpost 12. It was shut down years ago, but maybe we'll find tools. Maybe even survivors. Rayan nodded. Let's go. Titan Outpost 12 sat under thick clouds. The station was buried in ice and shadows. It had once been full of miners, engineers, and scientists. Now it looked like a frozen grave. As their ship landed, wind howled outside. The air was too cold to breathe. The team wore suits and stepped out carefully. Inside, the outpost lights still worked. Power ran through the walls. Machines blinked, waiting for commands. It's not fully dead, Kamal said, but something felt wrong. They walked through long, empty halls. Everything was covered in frost. Old food sat on tables. A child's toy lay on the ground then. Arya stopped suddenly. Did you hear that? They all froze. A soft whisper came through the hallway. Help me. Kamal gripped his weapon. Is someone here? They followed the sound until they reached a sealed medical lab. Arya forced the door open. Inside, they saw a glass pod. And inside that pod was a person. A woman floated in sleep inside the cryopod. Her face was pale. Tubes ran from her body to glowing wires. Arya read the nameplate, Dr. Esha Khan. She was one of the original Eclipse scientists, Arya said in shock. Rayan leaned closer. Why is she here? A robotic voice spoke suddenly. Warning, subject under Zarkalian influence. Do not release. What? Kamal asked. Arya, accessed? The logs. Her face turned pale. She was captured during an earlier Zarkalian mission. They used her mind, experimented on her. Rayon stared at the frozen woman. Then why is she still alive? Suddenly, the pod's lights turned red. The woman's eyes opened glowing green. She screamed. Machines around them exploded. The walls shook. Core in Rayon's hand pulsed hard. She's broadcasting a signal, Arya shouted. She's calling them. Kamal yelled. The Zarkalians know we're here. Shut it down, Rayon ordered. Arya ran to the control panel, fingers flying over buttons. Sparks flew as she disabled the broadcast. The pod went dark. The woman inside fell unconscious again. Silence returned. Rayon breathed heavily. She's not the enemy. Not fully. They used her. Arya frowned. But her mind is connected to them. She's dangerous. Rayon looked at the broken core in his hand. She may be our only hope to fix this. With care, they brought Dr. Khan's pod to the engineering lab. There Arya and Kamal worked quickly. They connected the Eclipse core to her cryopod. Brainwaves interacted with the system, and then the core stopped flashing red. It's working, Arya said, surprised. Rayon stared at Dr. Khan. She looked peaceful now. Can she wake up safely? I don't know, Arya said. But her mind has knowledge about Eclipse, about the enemy. She's a link between both. Suddenly, alarms blared through the outpost. A screen showed incoming ships, Datsaha Leon, patrols. They found us, Kamal said. Too fast. They were already close, Arya said. Her signal pulled them. Rayon stood up. Then we fight our way out. Outside, the sky turned red as Arcalian dropships landed. Creatures in black armor marched through the ice. Rayon and his team fired from cover. The battle was fast and violent. Explosions lit the frozen ground. Kamal took down 2 drones with a heavy rifle. Arya used a hacked turret to destroy a landing pod. But the Zarkalians kept coming. Rayon shouted, "Get to the ship! Now!" They ran back with the Eclipse core and Dr. Khan still unconscious. A Zarkalian soldier blocked the path, but Rayon threw a plasma grenade. Boom, the path was clear as they lifted off from Titan Outpost 12. Smoke covered the sky. Zarkalian ships chased them, but Arya activated stealth mode just in time. The ship vanished into the clouds. Inside, Rayon placed the core next to Dr. Khan's pod. She helped us, Kamal said softly. Even in sleep, Arya added. She's a ghost from the past. But now she's part of our future. The ship turned toward Mars. They had the core. They had the knowledge. And soon, they would have the ships. The real war was about to begin. Mars stood red and silent, ahead of the ship. Commander Rayon Malik and his team looked through the window as the stolen Zarkalian craft slowly approached the planet. Mars looked dead, covered in dust. But beneath that dust, something powerful waited. Project Eclipse. Rayon held the glowing core in his hand. It no longer flashed red. With the help of the half-conscious Dr. Esha Khan, the core was now stable. She's still not awake, Arya said, looking at the woman in the cryopod, but her brain activity shows she's helping. She may be guiding the core without knowing it. Rayon nodded. Then let her rest. The real work begins now. The ship landed at a hidden docking port under Mars' surface. Old Earth systems scanned the Eclipse core and opened the gate. Metal doors creaked open. Dust fell. Lights came alive. They walked into a massive, underground hangar. What they saw stopped them in their tracks. 5 massive AI warships. Each one was black, shaped like a sharp arrow, covered in armor. They had no windows, no crew sections. These ships flew themselves. They were smart. They were deadly. This is it, Arya whispered. The weapons Earth was too afraid to use. Rayon placed the core into the command terminal. A voice spoke. Project Eclipse reactivated. Orders? Rayon stood before the ships. Download enemy patterns. Prepare for launch. Target Zarkalian shipyards, the voice replied. Confirmed. Calculating paths, loading advanced weapon systems. Kamal stared up at the ships. Do you really trust them? Rayan didn't look away. They don't feel fear. They don't need food or rest. They don't surrender. They're the answer to everything the Zarkalians fear. Within hours, the Eclipse ships launched into space. Arya, Kamal, and Rayan followed in their own craft, tracking the fleet. The AI ships were silent but fast, flying through the solar system like shadows, their target a hidden Zarkalian shipyard near Pluto. It was where Zarkalian repair drones worked. It also held hundreds of prisoners in orbiting cells humans taken from Earth, used for labor or worse. Now was humanity's turn to strike first. As the Eclipse ships approached the Zarkalian shipyard, the enemy noticed too late. Zarkalian alarms rang. Battlecruisers scrambled, but the AI warships were faster. The first Eclipse ship fired a black beam of gravity weapon. It crushed a Zarkalian battleship in seconds. The second released thousands of AI-guided drones, each no bigger than a bird, but armed with cutting lasers. Within 10 minutes, 3 enemy warships were torn apart. Rayan watched the destruction from his cockpit. We've never had this kind of power before, Kamal said. Rayan answered, and we will never misuse it. This is war, but we fight for survival, Arya interrupted. Prison pods in orbit. Hundreds of humans still alive. Rayan responded quickly. Send drones. Free them. No one gets left behind. The Eclipse ships sent out rescue bots. They cut through the prison locks, pulling weak, starving humans into safety pods. One of the prisoners, an old woman, cried when she saw a human flag. On the rescue drone, we're not forgotten, she whispered. Down at the shipyard, a Zarkalian general watched in panic. His dark armor was cracked. His control room burned. They were weak, he hissed. Now, they hunt us. He ordered all remaining ships to retreat. It was too late. One final Eclipse warship dove into the heart of the station and detonated a focus fusion core. The entire Zarkalian base vanished in white fire. The battle was over. Humanity had won its first true victory. Back on the Eclipse fleet ship, Rayan sat in the command seat. Arya walked in. The AI wants to speak to you, she said. Rayan raised an eyebrow. Speak? She nodded. It has something. Strange to say, he walked to the main terminal. The voice of the AI spoke again. Zarkalian main fleet preparing for full-scale counterattack. Tracking signal from unknown source. Rayan frowned. Unknown? The screen showed a strange wave signal. It's not Zarkalian, Arya said. Something else is listening. Something older. Rayan stared at the signal. We'll deal with that later, he said. Why now? The Zarkalians know we're not broken. They know we can hit back. As they flew toward Earth, the prisoners safe, the enemy scattered, and the Eclipse ships behind them. Rayan gave a message to all remaining human resistance cells through long-range broadcast. This is Commander Rayan Malik. We struck first today. We freed our people, burned their fleet. They thought we were finished. They forgot what makes us human. We fight. We learn. The victory at Pluto gave hope to all of Earth. For the first time, the Zarkalians had lost. They were afraid. But Commander Rayan Malik knew one truth. The enemy wasn't finished yet. Inside the Eclipse command ship, Arya stared at a strange signal. This is coming from the edge of their territory, she said. It's not just a message. It's a control pulse. A command wave. Kamal looked over her shoulder. It's connected to every Zarkalian ship. It's how they move in perfect. Sync Rayan stepped closer. Shut that down, and we shut down their entire fleet. Arya zoomed in on the signal's origin. It wasn't on a ship. It wasn't even in space. It was on their homeworld, deep inside a city-sized tower called the Mindlink Spire. That's where the Queen is, Arya whispered. She's not just a leader. She's the central mind. She controls their whole army through this tower. Camel's eyes widened. If we destroy that, their fleet will fall apart. Rayan nodded slowly. Then that's our next target. But the mission came with a cost. The Minlink spire was protected by a massive force field. Eclipse AI confirmed it could only be destroyed. From inside, someone would have to go in. Arya looked at the map. This is a one-way mission.
I'll go,
Rayon said immediately. No, Arya stepped forward. You're the commander. If something happens to you, we lose everything. Kamal added. We need you alive, Rayon. Looked at both of them. Then we go together, all three. The plan was simple, but deadly. The Eclipse AI would attack the outer defenses. Meanwhile, Rayon's team would sneak into the tower, using stealth dropships. Once inside, they'd place a power overload device at the Queen's neural throne. One push of a button, and the Zarkalian control system would collapse. But the AI warned them again. High probability of fatal outcome. 92%. Mission cannot be aborted once started. Rayon didn't blink. We fight for those who can't. Let's do it. The dropship entered the Zarkalian homeworld under cover of night. The planet was cold, filled with black mountains and red clouds. The Queen's Tower stood like a needle in the center of a glowing city. Every wall pulsed with strange green energy. Inside, Zarkalian guards moved like machines, but Rayon's team moved faster. They slipped through security gates. Arya hacked control panels, Kamal disabled cameras. Step by step, they moved up the tower. Inside the central chamber, they saw her. The Queen, she wasn't sitting. She was floating, held by thousands of silver cables connected to her skull. Her body was massive. Her face was covered in a mask of gold. Her many arms twitched as data flowed through her. She's not alive, Kamal whispered. She's a machine. No, Rayan said. She's both. And she's the reason billions died. They placed the overload device at the base of her throne. Arya prepared the timer. 10 seconds after activation, everything in this tower will burn. Suddenly, alarms rang. The Queen opened her glowing eyes. The walls shook. Zarkalian drones poured into the chamber. Defend the device, Rahan shouted. Kamal fired at the drones, taking down 3 before he was hit in the leg. Go, he yelled. I'll cover you. No one gets left behind, Rayan shouted back. Arya activated the overload. A loud hum filled the air. Then a spear of energy struck Kamal in the chest. He fell. Rayan rushed to him and grabbed his hand. But Kamal was already gone. Arya pulled Rayan back. It's done. We have to move. They ran toward the escape shaft. As fire consumed the tower behind them, outside, Eclipse warships watched from orbit. The Queen's Tower exploded in a silent flash of light, one by one. The Zarkalian fleet above the planet shut down. Weapons stopped. Engines died. Enemy warships spun out of control. The army that had crushed Earth was now blind, broken, lost. Back on the command ship, Rayon stood in silence. Camel's body was placed. In a chamber of light, a flag of Earth lay across him. He didn't run, Arya said softly. He gave us this victory. Rayon nodded. He was my brother in battle, and he will not be forgotten. Earth's surviving leaders sent a message. The war was ending. Zarkalian ships were falling apart. Their generals were confused. Some even surrendered. Across the solar system, humans cheered. Children cried. Families came out of hiding. But deep inside the Eclipse control room, Rayan stared at one last signal. It wasn't Zarkalian. It was something else. Something older. The same strange pattern they had picked up before. Arya looked at it and frowned. This isn't random. Someone is watching us. Something big, Rayan said. Only one thing. We've survived one war, but something worse may be coming. The war was almost over. The Zarkalian queen was dead. Her control tower had been destroyed by Commander Rayon Malik and his team. Without her Mindlink, the enemy fleets collapsed. Their ships floated in space, empty, confused, powerless. Across Earth, people cheered. Survivors came out from underground bunkers. Flags were raised. Soldiers wept. For the first time in years, the sky was quiet. But for Rayon Malik, There was no joy yet. He stood at the window of the Eclipse flagship, watching the stars. Friend Kamal had died in the mission. Millions more had died before him, and in the dark. Something still moved. Arya walked into the room. You haven't slept in 2 days. Rayan didn't turn. I can't. That signal we saw, the one that's not Zarkalian. It's still coming. Arya nodded. It's growing stronger. Not an attack. Not yet. But it's watching us. Rayan sighed. I'm tired, Arya. But if something else is coming, we need to be ready. She stepped closer. We won. The enemy is finished. But we don't want to become them. We fight for peace, not power. Rayan finally turned and looked at her. You're right. Let's finish this the right way. The Eclipse fleet sent out messages across the solar system. Zarkalian forces, surrender peacefully. You are no longer under the Queen's control. You will be treated fairly if you lay down your weapons.
Yes.
Surprisingly, many of the Zarkalians did just that. Without the Queen's command, they seemed lost, confused. Some even looked scared. A few tried to keep fighting, but they were quickly shut down by the Eclipse AI warships. The war was over, but Earth had changed forever. Weeks later, Rayan stood at a ceremony site on Earth. The land was broken, but people had gathered. Survivors, soldiers, engineers, doctors all, standing as a flag was raised, a large wall behind. Rayan held thousands of names. The fallen, Kamal's name, was near the top. Arya stood beside Rayan. She read the final part of the speech. They hurt humanity first, but they never expected the payback. We paid it with fire, with pain, with unity. And now we rebuild. The crowd clapped. Many cried. But above them, satellites still watched the stars. That night, Arya returned. To the control deck. She stared at the strange alien signal again. Suddenly, changed. No longer just pulses and noise, it became a message. One word repeated 3 times. We saw you, she called Rayan at once. He arrived within minutes. And read the message. What does it mean? Arya asked. Rayan narrowed his eyes. Someone, something, watched the entire war. They didn't help. They didn't stop it. But now they speak. Zarkalians? Arya asked. Rayan shook his head. No, this is older, deeper. Something else is out there. Rayan met with the Eclipse AI. Its glowing core lit up as it spoke. The signal is from outside the known galaxy. Estimated origin, Andromeda system. Intelligence level. Unknown. Technology. Beyond our own? Is it a threat? Rayan asked. The AI paused. Unknown. But it is watching humanity closely. Rayan clenched his fist. We just ended one war. We can't start another. Arya added. Maybe it's not war. Maybe it's a test. Maybe they wanted to see what kind of species we are. Rayan nodded slowly. Then they saw the truth. He turned to the AI. Prepare the Eclipse ships. Keep them ready but hidden. No aggression, but no weakness. In the months that followed, Earth began to rebuild. Cities rose again. Families reunited. New leaders were chosen, not based on power, but based on wisdom, courage, and care. The Eclipse ships remained in orbit, silent but watching. Their presence kept peace across the solar system. Mars was turned into a defense base. Titan became a science station. Humanity spread not for conquest, but for survival. They didn't forget what they had lost, but they remembered who they had become. 1 year later, a boy stood at a field on Earth, pointing to the sky. Dad, what's that ship up there? Father smiled. That's one of the Eclipse Guardians. It protects us. From who? The father paused, then answered, from whatever comes next. In the command room of the main Eclipse ship, Rayan sat alone. He looked at the stars. He whispered, they hurt humanity first. But we didn't just fight back, we became something more. We became a species that cannot be broken. He stood up. A new message came in. From deep space, a voice, Clear this time, not a threat, not a warning. It simply said,